Hi, my name's Adam Weezer, and I am Associate Writer here at Cloud Imperium Games, and welcome to another installment of Loremaker's Guide to the Galaxy. For those who aren't familiar with the show, this is a chance for a member of the lore team to sit down and give you a personal tour of one of the systems you'll be exploring in the game and in Star Citizen and possibly Squadron 42. On this installment, we are going to be looking at a very special system in the UEE because at the center of it is a very unique, at least it's a unique star for us to be have habitation or have habitable planets around. And this week we are going to be going and looking at the system of Banshee. So we're starting off here as always at Earth. And using our handy little star map, we'll type in Banshee, and we will head on out to the system. And as we fly on down, Banshee is a 4-planet system that is officially a UEE system. And at the heart here, as we zoom on in, is what makes this so special, and that's a pulsar. Now you can see it kind of here in the star map representation, pulsing a little bit bigger and smaller, and that's not technically what a pulsar would be in real life. It would actually be spinning very, very fast and having be highly magnetized and have these beams of electromagnetic radiation coming out of both sides of the pole. So it almost becomes like a lighthouse effect where these beams kind of spin around. Now this makes them very easy to see from a distance because you can actually time the rotations and see where they are of these beams of radiation. But it also makes it very difficult to live around because that radiation is deadly to living species and to ships. Now, these pulsars are basically very interesting because they were formerly massive stars that went through a supernova, like a giant explosion, and then suffered gravitational collapse, where all the mass that was being held together all of a sudden just kind of comes and gets pulled into tighter and tighter and denser and more compact form of matter. Somehow in this process, and we still in this day and age don't know exactly how it happens, all these elements end up kind of like spinning and bringing and shooting these beams of electromagnetic radiation out from the magnetic poles of the actual star. Not the actual kind of like north-south, they're slightly off-center, which makes them a little bit easier to see for us. Now, in Star Citizen, Banshee is the only star system currently that has a pulsar at the center and has jump points connecting to it. This has led some scientists to theorize that maybe the pulsars being at the center of the system actually leads to unstable jump points or doesn't really aid in their formation. But somehow, in some way, we have discovered this jump point into Banshee and have decided to inhabit this system for reasons you'll see in a little bit. Now, as we back out, you will see that Banshee here is connected to 4 planets. Most of them, it's kind of out in the edges here. You've got Lear, which is unclaimed. You've got Garen, which is developing. Tamza, which has a black hole at the center, so you won't be able to visit it currently as the UEE discovers it. And the Fora system. This was where the system was initially discovered, back in 2317. In 2317, there were a lot of terraforming workers that were in the Fora system, and a bunch of them decided to band together and create something called the IMRAM Association. Now, this was a group of amateur explorers that when they weren't helping terraform planets in Fora were out searching, looking for jump points, just because it was still very early in human expansion and exploration of space, and this was something a lot of them were very, very interested in. Now, IMRAM, in a reference to Banshee, which has Irish origins. Imram is actually an ancient Irish kind of folktale that involves a hero going on a quest and normally in a boat and normally journeying to another world. So decided to call the group that found the system the Imram Association as a nice little reflection back to Ireland and the name that's involved here. So it was actually one Adalaz Diane who found the initial jump into the Banshee system from Fora. And while she found it, before she went through it, she sent the coordinates to all the other members of the association. They rushed out to that part of the system to see what she had found, only discovered not only her that she wasn't there anymore, and they weren't quite sure what was in that area. They did pick up some weird anomalies, some radiation in there, and they grew concerned that something dangerous or deadly could have happened to Diane. So at the time, the other members of the Imram Association actually contacted the humanities government. This is 2317, it's pre-UEE, it's pre-UPE, it's pre-UNE. There was no formalized center of government for all of humanity at that time. So they tried to contact the powers that be just to let them know that there was something funky going on in this area, which brought out the government military pathfinders to come and search this section of space. As they went and they scanned these coordinates she gave them, they were able to discover the jump point, and the military went in behind. And as they came in behind, that's when they realized that this deadly pulsar was at the center of the system. Now, no one knows exactly the fate of Adalaz Diane once she went through the jump point. Most suspect that she came through and her ship basically got a little bit too close to the pulsar, succumbed to radiation, and just continued to drift off into space forever. That said, as a way to honor her and her discovery of the system, the members of the Imram Association decided to name the system Banshee after Adalaz's nickname in the Sadaball arena. She was called Banshee, so she thought that it would be a perfect way to kind of honor her, while at the same time warning others of the dangers of venturing into the system with all the radiation spilling out of this pulsar. Now, once the government, or the form of government that was around at that time, realized that there was a lot of dangerous stuff in the system, they decided to do something, which was not tell people it was here. This just made a lot of sense, because you don't want people wandering off into danger and going to visit this thing if they don't have to, if there's no reason to be there, because at the time there was, it didn't make any sense, there wasn't any habitable places to go. So this happened for about 2 to 3 centuries, where there were rumors that the human government had found another system, but weren't letting people actually go to visit it. It was in the 26th century when this kind of all came to a head. Overpopulation of Earth meant that humanity was searching desperately for new places for humanity to populate. And this rumor that there was this possible other system out there gained some traction and eventually led to a very famous court case called Minto versus the UPE. The UPE was the formal government at that time. And it was in this debated court case that it was finally decided that humanity's government could not hide jump points into various systems from the general population. This was seen as a thing to do to make sure that the government wasn't maybe discovering system where there were lots of resources or other things like that, and then keeping them from private industries or other people, and just to make sure that if the government knew something, they had to be accountable, they had to let the rest of the population know that this was okay. This is also the reason why, as you'll look on the star map and as you'll experience in the game, you're going to know where the jump points in the Van Duel space are, because it did in the future obviously come back to bite them in the butt a little bit, but that was the initial thinking behind it, is that the government cannot hide jump points from people. So people eventually got access to this system in the 26th century to find out that, yeah, with this 4-planet system here and a very small, you can see here, green habitable zone, it's not really great for much of anything, especially with all the radiation spewing out of it. Then, of course, like many other times in human history, war came along and changed the dynamics and changed technology, and that led to some advancements here that actually allowed the system to be habitable. So it was during the First Tevaran War that researchers at the UPark, the secret government kind of lab, were working on some kind of system as a way that could possibly weaponize solar electromagnetic radiation. Supposedly this never really took off, it never really worked, but what they were able to do was they were able to build giant things that could capture this electromagnetic radiation and at least turn it into some form of energy. Now these are very prominently featured on the one habitable planet in the system, which is Llorona over here. And they dot the landscape of that planet. I'm sure you'll see the picture that we have as the header for this, that are in the ground, and they almost look like big kind of like solar panels that can sit there and soak up the radiation coming from the pulsar and then be used to power everything that's around it. Once this happened, obviously corporations started to come on in and use them to run autonomous drilling rigs, in particular on this third planet of Llorona, to be able to get some of the valuable resources out of the system, and that's how human habitation began in this completely inhospitable part of the galaxy. So if we go in for a little closer view, we're going to go into Banshee I, which is really close to the pulsar at the center here. Now this is a rocky dwarf planet, and scans have revealed that it does have small pockets of valuable minerals, but its location so close to the pulsar makes it completely inhospitable to humanity, or to even sending something there to pull that from the planet. So that is Banshee I. If we go out to Banshee II, excuse me, there we go. This is a terrestrial iron planet. So it has an iron core. The entire planet surface has been heavily irradiated because of the pulsar at the center. But there's a little bit of a mystery wrapped up in this planet, because after the Historical Truth Act of 2941, it was revealed that during the Messer era, specific swaths of this planet were cut out and taken away and transported for nobody knows quite what reason. What would the Messer government want to do with these heavily irradiated pieces of this planet, of these iron chunks of this planet? So that's one of those historical mysteries that people to this day are still trying to figure out what in the world the Messers were thinking with doing with these specific parts of Banshee II. Oops, went out a little too far there. Let's go back in. And now let's talk about the one place that you can visit in this system and actually spend some time. And this is Llorona, which is the third planet. It's a terrestrial planet, and it has vast resources, which is why a lot of those giant panels collecting the energy from the star were put here first, so that miners could pull everything out. Now, being on the surface of this planet is still deadly to humans, so that is why all the landing zones and all the human population are actually underground. In the parlance of the planet, to go there is to go below the line, because that's where actual human habitation occurs there. Most of the population is miners, and because of the amount of resources and the money coming from this planet, even though everything is underground, there is an element of a rich lifestyle on this planet. There's good restaurants, there's some high-end shopping, because a lot of high-end mining executives do work here. That said, the majority of the population are kind of subsistent miners that are there working for these mega corporations that are basically, as they cut into this planet and hollow it out and move the resources out, these people that are working for the mining companies end up kind of coming in after them, and the places that the mining equipment has kind of swept through and left behind, they end up building their own shacks, their own little settlements which makes it a very interesting kind of like place to go, but one that if you're not a resident of Llorona, it's not recommended that you wander through these tunnels alone, just because certain encampments are, let's say, not so nice to people not from the planet, and it's also very easy to get lost down there. One of the things that's the planet is also known for is a beautramp, which is a sweet or savory puff pastry, which can be bought from various stalls that are lined up all throughout the tunnels of this of Llorona. A lot of the miners grab them on the way to work, along with their warm beverage, their drink and stuff in the morning. And a fun little, one little story side note based on Llorona, Dean Keller, who did the infamous Keller's Run a few hundred years later, was a very notorious outlaw of the early 30th century in the UEE. The first, nobody knows where Dean Keller ever came from, but his first kind of like ping in the history of the UEE was when he was arrested for the first time at 12 years old. He had snuck into a hangar and basically tied up the attendant that was working there, had climbed into the ship that was there, and was trying to figure out how to fire the ship's missiles at the basically doors, the hangar doors, so that he could escape the planet. That was the first time, the first of many times Dean Keller was ever arrested. Nobody knows if he was actually born on Llorona, but that's the first time he ever made an impression. One of many that he would do throughout his life. Finally, we're going to spin around and visit planet 4 in the system, which is Banshee. This is a typical ice giant way out on the fringes of the system. In the 27th century, this company called the Sea-Note concern had this idea that they could use the ice of this planet for an industrial source of heavy water in the mining operations that were going on in Llorona and other places in around the Empire. This plan failed. Their ability to rip off huge chunks of ice, take it elsewhere to use as industrial heavy water, failed, and actually bankrupt the company, being so expensive in their failure. So that is a quick visit to the system of Banshee, which has been around for hundreds of years, was completely unknown to most of the general human population for many, many years, and now harbors Llorona, the one place where you can go and visit the system and go underground. It is recommended that if you do go visit the system, you do make sure to do all repairs and refueling before entering, because if your ship does break down, getting out of your ship to do repairs or have anything done to it can be a deadly task for you. So thank you for exploring the Banshee system with me. Make sure to tune in. We do one of these every 2 weeks, one of these Loremakers. We offset every other week with Bug Smashers. So thank you once again for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.